current affairs, facts and opinion, their future in our hands. Markets, globalist technocrats versus the people. A line in the sand. The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, folks. Jeremy McIntyre here reporting live on behalf of Independent Media, Australian National Review from our Indonesian studios, ANR.news, follow our 24-hour news headlines. More stories coming up. Here's the interesting thing talking about Indonesia.
Indonesia is the most invisible country in the world, and here's why. Despite having over 300 million people and a $1 trillion economy, most people abroad have never even heard of us. Why? Because Indonesia has a branding problem. Every time we present ourselves, we only talk about our food, culture, and nature. These things are all wonderful, but none of it commands respect. Look at Singapore, Japan, Korea. None of them have this problem because they present themselves as futuristic, safe, and efficient. Meanwhile, we keep on referencing the past, and that makes us look like a tropical tourist destination instead of what we could actually be, a global economic power. Perhaps the reason why we keep on talking about the past is because we don't have anything in the present that is worth mentioning. But until that changes, we stay invisible, and that is why.
It's interesting. I'm in Jakarta. I've been to several times now. Many people haven't been, but when people think Jakarta is actually now the world's largest city. Yet, ironically, most Westerners don't have a defining image of what Jakarta even looks like. They don't know it's a modern metropolis, one of the greatest cities to go to, great restaurants, amazing people, great nightlife. Yeah, it has some traffic problems, but what major city doesn't? It's crazy. Let's check out Jakarta.
Fuck what you doing? Running your crib and popping your nugget. Fuck what you doing? Popping the seal to nothing inside it. What am I doing? Buying these whips and don't get the driver. I'm a major influence to the young niggas in the hood is violent. I know the hood is violent. We know the.
It's an amazing city. It's worth checking out. Now, it's good to see that I've been talking about some time. Indonesia is headed to be the top 4 economy in the world by 2050. 280 million people, vibrant nation. I invest heavily in it, in real estate, etc. Because I want to invest in a BRICS nation, a suitable BRICS nation that's close to Australia. I see the West is heading into decline, where these emerging nations are heading towards a boom, and it's, we can contribute in a significant way. Obviously, we're building the first properly planned cities in Indonesia as part of that. So it's a fascinating country that it's right on the doorstep of Australia, and Australia should be, I think, a better neighbor. I think Australia had a nationalistic leader. It would build closer relations with Indonesia. It also would repair relations with China, because the other thing that Indonesia is doing is, if I can find it here, let's take a look.
This is now the biggest city in the world, officially, according to the UN. 42 million people. This is going to be, if the figures are correct, the 4th largest economy in the world by the middle of the century, and you can feel that it is on a pathway that perhaps it once was not. Honestly, I barely recognize Jakarta today. It's well over a decade since I've been to this city, and I've got to say, in every way it's changed. It looks like one of these really modern Southeast Asian cities. It's got a hint of the kind of Singapore to it these days. Clean roads, the traffic's come down a little bit because of the introduction of the metro. It's not perfect. There's lots of things still that need to be fixed, and everyone here in Jakarta will list them for you. It's modern. It's digital. People are, racing to work during commuter hours. People are getting into coffee culture. People are out jogging every morning. This place is just changing so much.
I have to agree there with Hamish that it's something more strange to check out. They all know Bali, but how few have been to Jakarta? We're talking a booming economy that has traditional values, very family orientated, largest Muslim nation on the planet, which is nothing to be concerned about. Actually, you'll feel more at home, and for many Australians in Indonesia, because they're very family orientated. The sort of values that we grew up in Australia, which we often yearn for, right? Because it's become so westernized and left-wing nutter, transgenderism, satanic nonsense and stuff they push on kids these days, hypersexualized society in the West, decay, decadence, part of the certain fake state strategy to destroy the fiber of our society, where you don't have that sort of nonsense over here. So great country, go check it out, not just Bali or Lombok, go visit Indonesia. Now also, they've been voted, they're about to purchase 150 million barrels of Russian crude oil. Part of BRICS, the president of Indonesia was in Russia only recently, and 2 weeks ago. They have close relations, and they can get oil from Russia, which is becoming one of the richest nations on the planet. We said it would restore itself. Putin's done an amazing job, but of course in the West we're told the bomber that Putin's an evil dictator. Well, is he? He's a nationalist leader that cares for his people. He's not buying like Zelensky homes and properties around the world and partying on super yachts. He's busy every day building a nation, making it better despite the difficulties that was destroyed, almost brought to its knees by the fake Jewish imposters that founded Israel. We don't have to even mention their names. So Russia is becoming an economic power again, and it already is a military superpower. And it's going to win the war in Ukraine, as we told people right up front. It doesn't want to invade Europe. It's got, as Putin has said, we've got plenty of land, but it has also plenty of oil and resources. Just like Australia, if Australia had a nationalist leader as good as Putin, you wouldn't be paying high income tax like you do. You'd be paying much lower income tax like Russia has. And Russia's not perfect, but most people still think Russia's communist. They forget that in 89 or 1991, then Putin comes to power. I mean, communism is gone. It's over. They were never communists. It was imposed upon them by your friends, fake state of Israel, the Rothschilds. Indonesia is seen as the most resilient to energy crisis in the world by J.P. Morgan. It has a lot of coal, a lot of energy. Australia also should be the most energy resilient, but we're the least. We're the least. Offshore oil and gas companies sold 46.1 billion of Australian oil and gas. They paid 1.5 billion in petroleum resource rent tax, and most of that was from oil in the Bass Strait. We're currently getting 3.25% of the revenue from our offshore oil and gas. See, this is what we need to change. Put a nationalist leader in, add proper taxes for our resources to sold to foreign nations and foreign companies. And instead of you paying income tax, you'll be paying zero. That's the easy way to fix up Australia. Stop taxing Australians, start taxing our wealth resources sent overseas. But Australia, I mean, is leading the role in the least amount of oil resilience. We're the worst in the world for oil resilience compared to Indonesia, who's been rated number one. It's absolutely crazy. And we've covered that before with the oil refineries being bombed, just making it worse. So what can we do about that? Well, we need a nationalist leader. We need to join the BRICS. But let's see if that ever happens. Let's take a look at this.
I have been an organic farmer in Maine since the 1970s. And no one can tell me or the other farmers here today that we can't grow food without all of these toxic chemicals.
Over 140,000 family farms will close this year, and nobody is talking about it. 140,000, guys. Why is this happening? Well, in the 1990s, Monsanto, later acquired by Bayer, introduced something called Roundup-ready crops, which are crops that are genetically engineered to resist glyphosate, which is the key ingredient in their weed killer, Roundup. This then led to a massive explosion in the use of glyphosate in factory farming, with now about 60% of total crops being treated with this pesticide. The only problem is that Roundup causes cancer, and Bayer has already had to pay tens of billions of dollars to settle these cases, which obviously is not ideal for corporate profits. In fact, Bayer is pushing a case in the Supreme Court right now that blocks people from suing them if they get cancer from Roundup. And the Trump administration is backing Bayer's bid to curb these Roundup lawsuits. And for the farmers who say, no, we don't want to chemicalize our food supply, Bayer has methodically driven them one by one out of business with the help of President Barack Obama.
What has gotten us to this point is the mergers and consolidations of ag input suppliers. In 2015, Monsanto and Bayer merged. They were competing against each other. And that was during Obama's administration. They didn't do a thing about that. They let it happen. When I started farming, we had 5 or 6 Arkansas-based seed companies. Monsanto, there's none. They're all owned by Bayer.
Point blank, they've created a monopoly to poison you, and both parties are in on it. Right now, there's a farm bill, H.R. 7567, that Congress is expected to vote on this week that codifies immunity for Bayer and basically destroy organic farming going forward. We cannot allow this to pass.
Wow, that's just shocking. Can you believe that? Bayer, Monsanto, monopoly is dangerous, and they're just blocking out. How many people have cancer because of Roundup? Destruction of farms by corporate takeover. I believe I have a video somewhere if I can find it. I'll show it to you about the amount of farms also that have been just simply wiped out in recent times in America. Something like 460,000 farms have disappeared, like small farm owners. It's all being taken over by corporates. Starting to happen also in Australia. That's all we have for this episode. We'll be back shortly with another episode of the McIntyre Report. Until then, take care.